only wants you to make good beer. And have fun hanging out with your friends. Here's Dono.
Today on the program, another Helles, another light lager. Now, good people who are into the brewing, I have been making lagers. I went back to look. I started in 2001 was my first brew day. And I just did a lot of your regular stuff first couple years, but by early 2004 I was already starting to make some lagers. Now they were extract. I started doing all grain in 2005, but my first ever Helles was this beer. I think it's in either Beer Captured or maybe Clone Brews, some kind of book like that. And that's almost 20 years ago, people. I mean, the 2004 ones, yeah, that's 20 years ago. I made this video 9 years ago where Dawson and I talked about our love of lagers. So I mean, I dare say, I don't want to pat myself on the back, but I dare say I've been a little bit ahead of the curve as far as the craft brewing, wide embrace of lagers. I've been championing them for a long time, so we're doing another one today. This one I'm doing today is about the same recipe as what I settled on in 2014. Now remember, I started in 2004 or so, but and I did a bunch of different ones, but I got to this one, and I don't say how, but I just streamlined it. Half pounds Carapils, half pounds Munich, 9 or 10 pounds of pills. There you go. Today I have Pearl for bittering, and I'll show you, I have Imperial Global for the lager yeast. Now, a couple of thoughts about making lagers. A lot of times people, especially years ago, wouldn't want to make them because they were always said to be more difficult and challenging. And they are. They can be. You need to have, for sure, healthy, fresh yeast and enough of it, good aeration, and then watch the temperature. Now, the thing about the temperature is, we have learned that you do not have to, here's some of the wort boiling down, monitor it as closely and as carefully as we once thought. Now, you can ferment it a couple of different ways. You can ferment it under pressure. Pressurized fermentation, you've seen I've done that and I've gotten fine results. But the other thing is, and I've talked about this, is you can just ferment these traditional lager yeasts higher than the typical temperature range expected, which is like 45 to 55, 58, somewhere in that kind of cold range, which is definitely colder than ales. But some people will ferment them at almost ale temp and get an okay result. Now I currently am going to try to aim for somewhere in the middle, low 60s, upper 50s if I can, and we'll do a video on that. Last night I made my wort, and I don't know why I don't do this more often. I just took a ½ liter of the first runnings, added a ½ liter of water, got a gravity of about 1032, boiled it, chilled it, and then just made the yeast starter from that. So I didn't have to use DME, and I only decreased my overall wort in the boil kettle by ½ liter, which, you know, is no fun. I mean, I already have to make adjustments to get the final volume I want by boiling that down a little bit. So yeah, the boil is going in the garage. I've got a bit before I add the chiller, but yeah, I just want people to think about doing lagers, and hopefully at the end of this we'll get a good beer. It is October 30th today, people. Tomorrow is Halloween. That means it's going to be November in a couple of days, and I still have tomatoes. Oh, look, some animal ate a lunch out of that one. So this has been funny because I've been making more pasta sauce and more salsa. Then there's a nice big red one in the middle there getting red. I'm gonna pick that one. I'll probably pick that one. So we do have a frost coming. We've had a couple of freezes, light freezes. I covered them once, but I mean, look at this. This one plant has just been crazy with all these. They're not exactly cherry tomatoes, but they're about that. They're about that size. They're a little bit bigger, but I've just gotten so many out of that. Sounds like we got some police going on. But yeah, so I'll do a roundup shortly. The other thing that did very well this year is the beans, but after the first frost, they did die off, and that was fine because I think I've shown you before, I've gotten lots and lots of pickled beans out of it. So yeah, we're winding down, but I mean, it's almost November and I still have tomatoes. Alrighty, we're about to wrap this up. I will get this in focus, get my cheaters, get a reading. It's going to be, it looks like a little over 1050, which is about what I would expect. This thing also looks like $1,000,000. And I did get 5 gallons. This will put it a little bit over. I will hit it with pure oxygen. You know, this is an average strength beer, and with these fresh Imperial packs, if it was an ale, I might just, I'm going to try not to pitch this stir bar, and we made it. We still have it. Okay, I might just pitch the pack as is, but I do just like to give it, this is something I mentioned, a little extra attention for lagers, especially if you're going to be fermenting it colder. Now, I am going to try to ferment it as cold as I can. You've seen this before. I put ice jugs in this tub and put a blanket around the top, so it kind of creates a cheap and simple fermentation chamber. So yeah, you just want your best chance of success. And the other thing is I want to harvest this yeast and wash it and use it for the next couple batches. So I just want to give it the best chance of a good, healthy start at life, and hopefully we'll get a yummy beer out of this. It's definitely going. When I take my temperature gun, it's about 58 is what it's reading. This room is a little bit warmer than that. Actually, I thought it would be a little bit cooler than that. But I did now just put more ice jugs in here. I had 3 in here before, now I have 4. So it's still about at the top end of the range. But like I said, it won't make a difference, or it won't make a difference that I will be able to tell. And, you know, even just doing something like this, you can keep it a little bit cooler than the room. Normally it's more than like 4 degrees cooler, but I'll take another temperature reading and we're still looking good.
It's really good. That blocking.
You can go to your left more.
To be,
Right there. That's good. I mean, I can just go in the middle. It ain't too messy.
If you want to be over here and be able to see a tree, I can sit this one out.
No, I don't. The tree will be in there a little bit. You know what I'm saying.
I'll sit this one in. I like your numbers though.
It doesn't matter.
The 20 and the 24 and the 24.
Yeah, I did notice that.
Bringing out 2024 with.
I thought it were interesting.
If you're a numbers guy.
Okay.
Hold for screenshot.
Yeah, exactly. Pause. So I feel like it's been a minute since I made this.
First off, we gotta give shout outs to this sweater,
It's a great sweater.
which is shouting out all its own.
Shout out to Beth. She got it for the house.
Shout
Thanks,
out
Beth.
to Aldi.
So yeah, it is the 6th, 7th, 8th, something like that of December, and so I made this October 30th, so almost 2 months from brew day. 1055 to 1.008. Did ferment in the 52 to 55 range. I think it's gotten, you know, clearish. I'm sure I did the gelatin. And with the time, that's it. Seems clear enough.
Nice.
Clear enough.
Deep, deep, dark.
Cheers. Happy
Deep.
holidays.
Dark gold. Not
So,
your
yes.
white American lager.
And not, no adjuncts and no, or it does include Munich and Carapils. Half a pound each. So not a 100% pills. So yes, it does have a little more color. I was noticing that than like,
I like it.
all pills or beers with rice. The only thing that's kind of different, I thought, in my mind, but I've just been corrected than a lot of my light lagers, is that I was using raw premium pills, which I thought was different than raw pills.
It's all premium.
It's all premium
It's all
at
premium.
raw. Raw, where everything is premium.
Yeah.
But it is not raw North Star pills, and it is not Wireman Barca pills, which those ones I've used a lot in recent years too.
Drink's pretty good, Don.
What do we think of it? Yeah, I mean, I think it's fine. It's clean, no off flavors.
Crushable. I
Love
like that little like bit of biscuity toastiness that half pound of Munich gives it.
Yes, I also think it's almost more. You said biscuit, almost more like. See, in my mind, I was thinking that the raw premium pills was different. I was thinking, oh, it's a little more crackery. It's like less with the honey note that you get like on some of those ones that we have described as being a little sweeter.
No.
And it's a little more like crackery, maybe biscuity, more like a neutral bread flavor.
It is a little bit higher modification than the North Star pills. Maybe a little bit darker color.
What does higher modification mean for a kindergartner?
More
Spanking.
of the protein is broken down into smaller proteins in the malting process.
Does that mean you get more sugar out of it, or that it's more attenuative, or neither?
Depends on what you do with it in the
Okay.
mash. All other things equal, you'll get a little more body out of a less modified malt.
Okay,
you get
so
probably more extract out of a more highly modified malt.
okay. So this got down to 1.008. I don't have it in front of me. I'm sure I mashed at like 150. It's usually what I do for this type of thing. In the intro I was talking about fermenting these a little bit warmer than traditionally thought, but this one was in the kind of basically the traditional range because it was cool-ish at that time, and I probably did my ice jug trick. And so, I feel like if you can do it within a more of a traditional spec of range, you might as well. Why not? As long as you have enough. That being said, as long as you have enough yeast and healthy yeast and a good quantity, I suppose if you don't quite have that and you want to do a lager, then you could run it a little warmer. Because that's the thing with lagers, right? Is if you're fermenting colder, that's the reason that you need more yeast, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not just because it's a lager strength, but it's because of the temperature range. Right. So yeah, I think this was my 24th Helles in 20 years. Been making these beers, and that doesn't even include the Pilsners,
2024.
or the Maibachs, or the IPL. So I mean, I almost wonder. Probably lately, I almost wonder if I'm almost running like 50-50 on the lagers and the ales in a calendar year. I think I kind of am. What you gonna do?
You're in your lager era.
I like
What
it.
you gonna do? You're in your lager era. That's right. Don Swift.
I was just gonna make it some kind of Taylor Swift era joke, but there you go. So yeah, happy holidays. Make your lagers. Nothing
Andy's here.
too revelatory, but a good beer. And on to the next one. Catch you later.
2025. Gotta make at least one lager next year.